Well, hey folks, Real Honesty with Jarmithlan. I'm Jarmithlan. This is Times in Wrestling to Piss Me Off, Part 7. The last one I'm going to record before Mania. And actually, I'm recording this at the end of February, but this is the last one I'm going to upload before Mania. And then I'm going to give some time, okay, let's be positive, or negative about the current product. And once we get past the Raw and SmackDown after Mania, I'll start resuming these shows. But I figure 7 parts of what could potentially be a 15 to 20 part series is fair enough. In fact, actually, the way I'm doing these topics, I think I'm going to go to about 25 parts. And I went to 21 parts on the original series, which will still be up until I'm done with all this. And in fact, once I crack 100,000 views, probably 102,000 views, I'm going to start deleting some of those older Times in Wrestling shows because I'm covering a lot of these rants and Redux with better video quality and audio quality. So, anyway, here we go. So, these are going to get a bit angry. But I want to clarify that even though some people, a lot of people love my angry rants. Some think I go too far. I'm not telling anybody to die. I'm not wishing death on people. I'm not wishing injury on people. I'm doing my best to stay away from getting super, super angry. But this is a lot of stuff from wrestling that got me hot and got me upset. So that's why I'm doing this, and it's also good therapy for me. So, topic number 1, Hulk Hogan burying Randy Savage. This is various. You can go back to Mania 4, where Savage should have just been able to win straight up. Even though Ted DiBiase got a bye into the finals, basically, in the WrestleMania 4 tournament, and WWE title tournament, and Savage had to wrestle 4 times, they promote that, Savage has been through 4 grueling matches. 2 of those matches were like under 5 minutes, I think. And Savage is a great storyteller, don't get me wrong. Savage is tremendous at what he does. The problem is it wasn't, they didn't do the best job making a compelling story out of it. And then, of course, Hogan had to be down there because Andre the Giant was at ringside. So even though Hogan and Andre had their thing where it was like double count out, double disqualification, they were both at ringside, and Hogan had to get involved, hit DiBiase with a chair, Savage sky elbow, 1, 2, 3. Savage is a new champion, but of course Hogan's hogging the spotlight. Where even though Savage is doing the double bicep pose, which I can't do obviously because I got string bean arms. I'm not in shape. Let's just say that much. I'm a pasty white 5'9" guy. Hogan's like doing this to Savage, but Hogan's still got to get in the spotlight because that's all Hogan fucking knows. It's now getting the goddamn spotlight. He just couldn't stand that Randy Savage, who is a better worker than Hogan could ever have been, decided to, or was suddenly the champion. Hogan suddenly, after 4 fucking years, wasn't the champion. I don't know why the fuck I'm doing Jack Nicholson's impression. But, that was a terrible Jack Nicholson impression. But, the idea is that Hogan had to hog the spotlight even when Savage was champion. Savage never defended it on pay-per-view. Now, granted, they only had 4 pay-per-views a year at the time. So the next one would have been SummerSlam. Nope, it was a tag match. And then, he didn't defend it at Survivor Series. Okay, whatever. Didn't defend it at the Rumble. Defended against Hogan at Mania 5. And of course, they're telling the whole thing with the Mega Powers exploding and Savage turning to the dark side and that kind of stuff and whatever. Instead of Savage somehow managing to escape with the title by DQ or whatever, and maybe drop it to Hogan at SummerSlam, or drop it to Hogan on Saturday night's main event. No, they went with Savage losing it at Mania, having never defended it on pay-per-view. And again, I get it. They only had 4 pay-per-views a year. But the fact that he didn't do 1 title defense just showed the blatant lack of respect and a slap in the face of Savage. I mean, that's just my opinion, of course. But sure, I'm sure he defended it all the time on house shows and even on some Saturday night main events. I'm not trying to question that. But that was ridiculous. And then, of course, after that, Savage pushed down the card. Hogan's working in the main event of Mania 6. Savage is working in a mixed tag match with Dusty Rhodes. And I mean, all due respect, Dusty Rhodes. I'm not picking on Dusty or Sapphire or Sherry Martel. May all 3 of them rest in peace. I think Sapphire passed away. I think she did. I don't know. But I know Dusty and Sherry Martel and Miss Elizabeth and Randy Savage unfortunately passed away. Oh, God. Oh, God. I think everybody in that match is dead. That's really sad. That's a problem with a lot of the older Manias, even stuff up to Mania 10. There are quite a few wrestlers that have passed away. Anyway, now sadness. Hogan was still on top at Mania 7, Savage versus Warrior should have been the main event if you're going to be perfectly honest with how emotional it was. And by the way, I will have Mania themed shows that will probably actually be out by the time I post this. Top 10 most emotional moments in Mania history and top 10 matches at Mania matches that didn't deliver. So that's probably going to be the extent of my Mania themed shows, because by the time those go up, it's going to be right after Fastlane. Because we're less than 2 weeks before Fastlane. That's really scary. I'm actually recording this right before SmackDown on the 27th of February. But with just Hogan and Hogan burying Savage, he buried him in WCW. Savage barely got more than a month-long title reign. I mean, Flair beat him, so whatever. But Hogan couldn't even lose clean in the World War III Battle Royal match. And anytime Savage was champion, like when he became champion in '98, Hogan beat him the day after. When he became champion in '99, I think right after Bash at the Beach '99, that really messy tag match, Hogan won the title the next day. I don't know if Hogan and Savage truly made up before Savage died. I very much doubt it. Only because I don't think Hogan's genuine at all. But I really fucking hated the fact that Hogan always held Savage under his thumb. And I know that Hogan is he is one of the biggest superstars of all time. There is no debating that. No matter the good, the bad that he did in the business. One of the biggest superstars of all time. Was he promoted correctly? Yes, he was. So it's not just all the credit to him. But the amount of people he held down is ridiculous. The amount of people that Vince held down to placate Hogan is ridiculous. And I fucking hated the fact that Hogan of all people back in like 2005 maybe should have pushed Vince to induct Savage, like say at the next Hall of Fame, like in 2006 or something. I mean, I know he was on the outs with him in 2008, but if Hogan had maybe helped push that idea, maybe Vince would have listened. Even with the falling out that Hogan and Vince had. Savage should have been in the Hall of Fame before he died. That's my whole point. But Hogan buried Savage alive. He buried a lot of other people. But it bothered me the most because Savage could have carried the fucking company. And there would have been and I don't know if there would have been much of a change. You could have had, after Hogan had been champion for 4 years, you could have had Savage be champion for 3 years, and I think it would have been perfectly fine. Savage did want to retire, though, with the match with Warrior. He wanted to take some time off. Retire, do commentary, that kind of stuff. I get that. And that's fine. He had put his body through hell. He did, of course, end up unretiring and wrestling a little bit in WWE, and then wrestled a good 5 years in WCW. But the whole point is that Savage was always better than Hogan. I don't think there's any argument there. Savage could have carried the company just perfectly. And the fact that he wasn't allowed to without Hogan always being in his shadow and always having to be in the spotlight was revolting and ridiculous. And now we go to another Hogan thing. Starrcade 1997. I did a lengthy rant on this, a 20-year reflection on the Sting-Hogan main event. I want to say right off the bat that, yes, Sting didn't seem to be in the best of in-ring shape or mental shape. He didn't seem as determined. Now, I know that was part of the dark character and stuff like that, but everything seemed off. But Hogan still played the politics and did the whole thing where it was supposed to be a fast count. And it was 1, 2, 3. So Sting lost clean. Bret looked bitter. At the time, that's not a joke about Bret. I love Bret, and you'll be talked about in the next topic. But that whole thing was ridiculous. Just them mucking up the whole thing with Starrcade was absolutely revolting. Like, they did not need to do that. It was an abortion. It just was, because even though the buy rate was tremendous for that pay-per-view, and it was fucking brilliant. It did so much business. They never were able to do that kind of business. Even with the heights that they reached on ratings, and maybe even on some pay-per-views in 1998, they were never able to reach those heights again. Because they had shown that Hogan was going to be the politician, was always going to be taken care of, and was always going to look out for himself. And Hogan saying that he never used his creative control clause before Bash at the Beach 2000, that's bullshit. You kiss my ass on that if you don't believe. And I mean, if fans don't believe it, okay, that's whatever. We can have that debate. He did it. That was a creative control thing right there. Because it should have been Sting beating Hogan straight up. If you want to do some shenanigans with people running in, Sting fighting them off, that's fine. But the fact that you didn't even do that was ridiculous. You made Sting look stupid. You made Bret Hart look stupid. Made everybody look stupid. Nick Patrick looked stupid. Nick Patrick couldn't really do a fast count anyway, which I don't understand. He'd been a referee for a number of years. But this was just ridiculous. You want to hear more of my opinions on, feel free to check out that rant. And I have a person that wants to chime in on this. Somebody didn't like the match either. What did you think? What did you think? Hi. Hello? Okay. Had to put him down. The producer had to make an appearance. So anyway, check out the Starrcade 1997 20-year reflection if you want to get my full ideas on the rant, or a full rant on how I felt about the whole thing. That's a condensed version of it, but I did go into a little more detail as far as the hype of the match and everything. So, Starrcade 1999 is the next one, mainly Goldberg versus Bret. Now, Goldberg and Bret have made up on the whole thing. Bret does not blame Goldberg for the kick, the inadvertent kick that ended up ending his career. And I've come to where I've buried the hatchet enough with my opinions on Goldberg. But the thing is, that was a careless kick. 100% careless. 100% stupid. Just 100% bad. Starrcade at that point was off the rails. That was the second to last Starrcade ever, because WCW was pretty much out of control by that point. And I will be right back, folks, with the rest of this rant. Apologies, folks. Quick break just for a second. Had to help the producer with something. The producer that you just saw about a minute ago. So, Goldberg versus Bret, though, the reason this main event pissed me off is the carelessness of the kick. Now, again, I'm not going to sit here and blame Goldberg for it. Okay, he was very, very, very green. He had only been in the business for, at that point, about 2.5 years. He'd only been on TV for just over 2 years. Looks like it was September 22nd, 1997, that he even made his debut against Hugh Morris. And by the way, I did a 20-year reflection on the Raw and SmackDown episode, or Raw Nitro episodes from that time. And maybe I'll do some, if they ever upload Thunder episodes, I'll do some SmackDown Thunder, reflection shows. But anyway, the reason this irritated me is because it was clearly obvious from the beginning of the match, near the beginning of the match, even before the kick, that Bret was not right, that Goldberg was very rough with him. And whether he was told to do that, whether Bret just said, bring it and it'll be okay. I mean, he did say, Bill, don't hurt me. But it just didn't work, and the match was sloppy and it was off. And then, of course, there was the kick that ended up ending Bret's career. Because even though if he had been given time off to heal from that concussion, or at least heal as best he could, maybe we wouldn't be here talking about Bret having the issues that he has. Because of post-concussion syndrome and a stroke and stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying the concussion causes strokes. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't play one on TV either. I don't play one on this video. That's a good thing. But with Bret being unable to compete, I mean, he had done, I think, even a hardcore match with Terry Funk on either Nitro or Thunder soon after. And a few other matches. And by Sold Out 2000, he wasn't competing. And he was champion. He had been given the championship by Roddy Piper at Starrcade 99. And it just didn't, it was terrible. It was terrible. And it's just unfortunate watching this. And the reason it pissed me off is because Bret's my favorite superstar of all time. So I fucking hated seeing him like this. Now again, sure, okay, was it Goldberg's fault? Yes, but accidents happen. Again, I've gotten to work. If Bret can forgive Goldberg, I can forgive Goldberg. Because Bret was in the ring, obviously, with him. I wasn't. Goldberg has been careless. He has been, he's not a great worker, never was, and never said he was, to be fair. But just Bret's career ending like that, when Bret never intentionally hurt any of his opponents. Or, never went out of his way to injure any of his opponents. If moves happened and injuries happened, it wasn't Bret's fault, and it wasn't the other person's fault, it's just stuff that happened. It's just sad that's how Bret's career ended. I mean, yeah, he wrestled a handful of matches after that, but it's pretty much it. And we're not going to talk about we're not going to talk about McMahon versus Bret at Mania 26. That will come up later. Because, yeah, that's another thing to piss me off. But now we go to Katie Vick. Now, I was going to do, at the time when this happened, or when we were at, when it was like last year around October, I was going to do a 15-year reflection on it. The Katie Vick angle was fucking atrocious. It was unnecessary. We didn't need to humanize Kane like that, because after telling people for years that he was in a fire and, Kane was scarred by the Undertaker setting the fire to the house. Okay, as he got less and less gear and he either was bulked up or he was lean, like in 2002 he was pretty, especially later 2002 Kane was pretty lean. I mean, he was in really good shape, but I think maybe he had injuries and had to drop some muscle mass. I don't know. That's just, look at 2002 Kane at Mania, I think Mania 18, I think when he faced Kurt Angle. And then look at Kane about 4 or 5 months later. Quite a difference. Now, I'm not throwing stones here. I don't know if it was roids, HGH, I don't know. Kane always seemed like he was in pretty damn good shape, but that's just my opinion. So, maybe it's just because he tanned. I don't know. But the idea was he was supposed to have been scarred, from this fire. And as he kept losing gear, his gear kept getting, a little less. It was more of a singlet and pants. It was obvious that he wasn't burned, but he still wore the mask. But then we're supposed to make it seem like he was in college and this girl that he was with, it was a drunk driving accident and he killed her. And then we go to, it's like, what was it? It was like, I think Triple H said, oh, what about Katie Vick? She's dead. Kane, you're a murderer. And I remember watching at the time, with a friend who's no longer a friend, thank God. The guy's a fucking idiot. Long story. Story I may never tell on YouTube. Few people know about it. But, oh, Katie Vick, she's dead. Kane, you're a murderer. And we're just watching this, what in the world? What is this? What even is? And then, of course, you flash forward to Kane fucking a mannequin, wearing a Kane mask, and fucking a mannequin in a coffin. One of the most atrocious things I've ever seen in my life. And one of the reasons why, look, Vince was probably the one that greenlit it, but Triple H at that point had a lot of backstage stroke. Because he was a year from marrying Stephanie. I think they married in October 2013, 2003, because that was why the father and daughter I Quit match happened. Oh, fuck, I could do a 15-year reflection on that match. Sweet Jesus, that match was bad. But Triple H already had a lot of backstage stroke, and this just screamed stupid power play. This screamed stupidity by Vince. Because it didn't do, and it offended so many goddamn people. It was atrocious. It was one of the worst things that I've seen in a long goddamn time. It didn't help anybody. It didn't. It did not benefit a damn person. All it did was make Kane look stupid. It made Triple H seem like a creep and like an idiot. It didn't help the unification match that they had at No Mercy 2002 for the World Heavyweight and Intercontinental title, which, Triple H won, by the way. Because, of course, he did. These Triple H motherfuckers, that's what he does. He buries people. As a wrestler, he did bury a lot of people. You can have your match with Rollins and Reigns and all that stuff all you want. And Daniel Bryan, I don't care. Too little, too late. Sure, he's doing NXT, fine, whatever. The whole point of this is, Katie Vick, the amount of stupidity that went into this, it made people not watch wrestling for a while. Raw's ratings were starting to tank. 2003 wasn't a much better year for Raw. And the Raw product, at least tag team and mid-card, was pretty damn good. Main event wasn't, because Triple H was, beating a dead horse trying to get over. And Triple H could always work with the top guy, but never be the top guy. It was just bad. Katie Vick was just 100% shit. There's really no other way to say it. So anyway, that's what I got to say about that. Do you agree? Do you disagree with what I said about these topics? Like, share, comment, subscribe. Twitter link in the description. It's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin, and I will see you all soon.